So far, most of the content in the documents that I have prepared for the meeting with the organization and have made videos about has to do with obtaining justice for myself and describe how I don't want to be treated or rather mistreated and how I would prefer to be treated. But now we're moving on from that. We're moving past that. In this document, I would discuss about how I would, or rather my preferences about the dating life which I'm going to have, what matters to me, what I don't and what I don't want. And the reason of why I'm preparing this also for the meeting with the organization is because the organization, it controls the planet. And I think it controls women too. And the organization would try to supply me with women also. And I want them to fully understand everything that matters to me, about everything that has to do with dating. This is no longer about making demands or obtaining justice for myself. It's more about, or it is rather, about being understood. It's about communication and understanding. And finally, we're moving on to a more fun part of something that is actually has to do with obtaining pleasure in life. So let me read the document for you. It's called More About Intimate Relationships and Sexuality. This is a continuation of everything I said on the subject in my previous document, Secondary Demands. First of all, there is something very important that I would like to be understood on this topic. That I do want it to be part of my life, and I do want to enjoy it as much as possible, regularly. And yet, it's not all that important to me at all at the same time. What I mean is, yes, I want to meet with women and do intimate stuff and enjoy them. Nevertheless, enjoying pretty much everything else that I enjoy on a regular basis is more important to me than enjoying this. Video games, movies, TV shows, food at home, food that I order, food that I eat outside, all that is more important to me than whatever sex or intimate life I have. Enjoying my regular exercise is also extremely important to me, much more than enjoying women, especially with how important that exercise is to my life, to my health, well being, self development, success, everything. I am guessing that a major part of the reason that I talk so much on this subject, despite that it's possibly the least important to me of all the things I like to enjoy regularly, is that I've been bullied so much about it. So much of the talk has been in self-defense mode. I've been bullied so much about women and homosexuality, and the irony of this is that that's my entire experience in that topic. Being bullied, that's it. I've never even had any experience in this topic. I was only bullied about it, in different ways, for many years. To think that some people lose their virginity already by their early teens, both boys and girls, and they also experience other forms of intimacy, and they have girlfriends or boyfriends, and me, being 33 years old, and my only experience in intimacy is being bullied about it for so many years. And that's my very only experience in that area. That's so ridiculous and frustrating too. That's really a big reason of why I have so much to say on this topic. A lot of it is pure self-defense, but not all of it. Like I said, I do want it to be part of my life, even if it's less important than other areas. Honestly, I actually find it that I still have a lot to say about it because I have specific things that I want, things that matter to me, or things that I want to be known about or brought into attention. And while so much of the stuff that I enjoy regularly that I listed earlier is handled by big companies with big history of both service and production, and they have lots of customers and probably feedback too, and they know exactly what they're doing, and they know how to do their jobs or why they do this or that, and they are skilled and proficient at it too. And so much of what they do or what I receive from those big companies, whether food companies or entertainment companies, is already good as it is, and I don't even need to tell them do this or that. But in other cases like video games or buying prepared food where I can make decisions that affect my experience, I have a variety of great choices based on what they think is good for the customers that they can pick, and I'd be pleased with that. This is not the same about sex life or intimacy. It's not handled by some big companies with a very big history of great customer service. Although thinking about it, wouldn't it be possibly great if it was? Nevertheless, in today's society, it's such a personal matter that's handled privately between people and not by corporations or even smaller companies. Also, I am so different from everyone else, and I have my own unique views about everything, and in this topic too. I have personal preferences and ideas that I want to be understood. That's why I want to explain a few stuff in detail on this topic in relation to me and my own life and what I like. I actually want to start with the breeding part, as in making children. I'm not strictly against that, but I don't intend to do that. I believe for at least until I'm 1,000 years old. Why rush? It's not like I'm going to die. I will never die. I will always be young useful. You see, making children is a decision so full of responsibility. There is no way I'd want to do that unless I'm absolutely sure it's the right time and I'm fully prepared for it and wholeheartedly want to do it. Also, there's no way I'd make children unless I am sure that they'd be well taken care of and happy. But I don't want to be a parent so soon. Parenthood shifts you mentally into a later stage of life, more adult, where you care so much about raising your child well and not just live your own life. I definitely don't want that to happen until I'm at least 1000 years old, and that's the most minimum. Again, why rush? No reason to rush. I want to take my time, live my life, and enjoy it as much as I can. I want to live my life until that minimum age of 1000 without a care in the world, like a teenager or someone in their early 20s that just wants to have fun as much as they can while they're still young. One reason that it's an important topic is so neither a woman nor Providence or any form of higher power would have some different expectations because they don't know my plans with this subject. Another very important reason, something very important to me, is that my sperm would never be used against me, so that my sperm would never be used by anyone in any way to raise children with my DNA against my permission. I don't want to be a biological father without consent. I want the decision to have children to be my own. Specifically, I don't want a woman either cheating me about using a birth control pill and getting pregnant and raising the child without my permission, or getting pregnant by accident if the pill doesn't work for some reason, or she forgets to take it at the correct time span or at all, and then she gets pregnant and also raises the child without my consent. My point is, if a woman has sex with me, she has to commit that she won't get pregnant. And if she does, then she should be expected and even required to undergo an abortion. I want to be promised that nobody would use my sperm to grow children without my explicit permission. That was one of the two important foremost things that I have to discuss in this topic about caution and responsibility. The second thing is that I don't want to ever get a single sexually transmitted disease in my entire life. Whatever woman that has intimate or sexual interactions with me has to show me medical test results, preferably regularly, that she is absolutely free of any STD, and that's also what I expect from women sent to me by the organization. It's the responsible thing to do, don't you think? I'm a responsible man. I handle any major part of my life, especially health, with great responsibility. I don't want anybody to infect me with anything. If the other person is responsible too, they should have no problem doing that. They should be understanding. Those were two important points about caution and responsibility. Now let's move on to the main topic. First of all, I would like to discuss why would I be looking for relationships? What is it that I'm looking for? I'm looking mainly for sexual gratification. Possibly some other intimate acts depending on how I feel at the time. Friendships with women are also a possibility. Some level of sharing possible, but certainly not at the level of seeing each other as two halves. By default, I want to keep my private life and environment protected. I want to have my own house where only me, my family, and people who serve me are allowed to visit. I'd prefer to meet women in different locations than my private house. I may have a separate house or apartment to where I would bring women. I could also meet with them at hotel rooms or some other place. There is some possibility that I would try to live with a woman in the future. I mean, I've never tried it, and that's part of why I may want to try it. But I definitely keep my own private house completely to myself. I want to have experience with plenty of women, and I would not like to devote myself to just one. For me, it's not about possession, but rather enjoyment. I believe in free sexual love and free life. Free sexual life and free love. Therefore, I wouldn't mind if they also have relationships with other men or women. It's not my intention to control someone's life. I like freedom and I respect others' freedom too. So long as they don't get any STDs, they are free to date and fuck whoever they like. I do expect some degrees of commitment, however. If a woman is in a steady relationship with me, then she'd be expected to devote me some regular time. More importantly, if we schedule a meeting, I expect her to be there on time and also not cancel the meeting unless she really has to, especially not shortly after the meeting is supposed to happen. And when the meeting happens, I want her full attention and then that she won't be distracted by anything. Also, that her body would be free of any possible sperm leftovers. I believe that my requests are very reasonable and that I'm really not asking much. I also expect the woman to be in good health, not sick with anything, including skin diseases. Good personal hygiene is important as well. She must take showers, preferably every day, 2 days at most. She must either smell good or not smell at all. A woman with a stench would not be tolerated. She must have good teeth and they have to be white, preferably as Hollywood stars, but not necessarily. She must have great oral hygiene, and both her teeth and mouth have to be clean when she meets me. She has to brush her teeth before meeting with me, and I won't tolerate any food leftovers in her mouth. Her tongue must be clean and have a healthy looking color, a shade of red or pink. I won't tolerate a woman with a white tongue. It's disgusting. Although most women already have long hair, that's also what I prefer them to have. Long hair. Women generally look better with long hair. Shorter hair may also appear more masculine, which is not what I seek in women. If she's good looking and attractive otherwise, it may not be such a big deal, but long hair is still better. Longer hair also requires more effort in its maintenance, which shows that the woman is willing to put more effort in her looks, which is something that I like to see, especially in females. The hair is also expected to be washed regularly, not just once a week. I also like when they have well taken care of colored fingernails and toenails. I like young women. The age range of women that I normally accept is 14 to 28. If for some reason I like the woman personally, I may extend the maximum range by 25% to 35. Mind you that the upper limit is exclusive and not inclusive. The range is very logical, with 14 being the most popular age of consent in well developed countries on the planet, while 28, the number which is twice of that, is often the maximal age of young appearance. Pay attention to the fact that 14 years old is not a child, and I'm certainly not a pedophile. The age of 14 is a teenager, a stage between childhood and adulthood. The fact that it's the most popular, lowest age of consent amongst highly developed countries, in addition to my next point, makes it the most logical choice for the lower limit of the range. From the age of 28, women begin to appear significantly more mature, and at 35, which is incidentally exactly 25% above the former number, they begin to show significant signs of aging. This was both observed by me and by a research done by some Japanese cosmetics company. I am very pleased with this logic. It applies to human women. For non-humans, such as elves or humanoid aliens, if they age at different rates, the logic may vary. Non-humans absolutely have to be humanoid and appear at least as much as attractive as humans. As for elves specifically, I find blizzard elves to particularly stand out in terms of attractiveness. I've never seen real elves, but of all elves I've seen thus far, I find the blizzard elves the most attractive. Blizzard elves, specifically being the night elf and blood elf looks. They are different, but I really like both type of blizzard elf female appearances, although voices too. It would be a very magical experience to be able to date any of them. As for human females, I'm very mostly attracted to those of the Caucasian races. They can be any type of Caucasian, Eastern and Western alike, so long as I find them attractive. I may not completely reject other races, but I would generally be far less attracted to them. I'm completely unattracted to black girls, and I feel almost as much towards Asian girls as well. I do like bright skin, bright eyes, and bright hair, but that's not the only reason of why I like Caucasian girls. I like overall how they look, although the skin color does make a substantial difference. The brighter the skin, the better, with white like snow being the best. I don't like freckles though. The less of them, the better. Freckles across the whole body is very bad. I also don't like body hair, and certainly not facial hair. I want my women to be free of those. I like the skin being as smooth as possible. I like the face and skin as pretty as possible, but physical shape obviously matters too. I'm absolutely not attracted to fat women. I like the women skinny but not anorexic. I want them to appear healthy. I think a good height range is about 1.5 to 1.75 meters. It's a large range intentionally to cover as many women as possible. I do like it when a woman is at least slightly shorter than me, but I probably wouldn't date a gnome. I like boobs and I prefer when women have them. But if I like the women otherwise, then it's not critical. I most often show interest in CIS women, but on occasion I may show interest in a trans woman. I do, however, want the vast majority of my relationships to be with CIS women. I also prefer it if my first several relationships are with CIS women rather than trans. Although, now that I think about it, if I can date several women at the same time, then I wouldn't mind if, like, one of them is a trans. I mean, maybe, I'm not sure about it. As for trans women, they have to be and appear feminine. They have to look and act like a woman. Also, trans women have to be real trans women, using both estrogen and anti-androgens. No femboys. You know what femboys are there? What you sometimes see in porn? Like they are males, but they like to cross dress and appear as though they're really, really feminine, like a woman, but they are not really a trans person. They don't take hormones, or at least I don't think they do. So they're not a real transsexual. So if they want to be a woman, they have to have female hormones in their blood, and they have to take some medication that blocks the male hormones. Teenage girls or girls between the ages of 14 to 21 are particularly likable by age alone and very good choice for both first relationships and otherwise, because they are far more fresh, both physically and mentally. And obviously, it would take far longer for them to reach maximum female dating age. Also, well, never mind it. Girls who are either 14 or slightly above have a particular advantage for me. for first relationships. It's that they may have smaller vaginas, which would fit better my currently small 4-inch penis size. Another type of females, very good for both first relationships and otherwise, are sexual caretakers. Those who would take care of my sexual needs regularly, regardless of their own, regardless of whether they get paid for it or why do they choose to do it. I am, however, willing to pay money to have such a person in my life, or like several of them. That is, if I have money. I definitely, though, want one who enjoys her job and likes giving me sexual pleasure. As for general relationships, I expect women to be open sexually and willing to share their bodies. I mean, if I'm willing to share my body, why wouldn't they? Also, sexual or otherwise intimate acts are the main thing I seek in relationships. If you can't provide this, what good are you? I don't want women who would use their bodies or vaginas as holy temples or wish to be courted. I most certainly don't want to court after a woman or see her body as something I have to work for. I believe those to be outdated ideas from the past when there were no birth controls. And women would risk pregnancy by sharing their body, so they'd seek some sort of ownership over the men. Well, nobody owns me and we are not living at those times anymore and they are not at any risk. Even if a birth control doesn't succeed for any reason, a woman has ways to prevent pregnancy. Either way, I won't be owned, nor drained, nor pulled. I'm looking for easy, fun times without any trouble or difficulty. Ideally, I'd be looking for a woman who is very cooperative in sexuality and intimacy. One who is good with any type of sex, except those that are not hygienic. When I say non-hygienic, I mean either rimming or inserting anything from the S into the mouth or vagina. I care about hygiene very much. Also, I am not a fan of anal sex. I'd rather put it into the mouth or vagina and not the butthole. I realize that there is no other option with transsexuals, but with CIS women there is. There's another trait I'm looking for in women sexually. I want them to actually like male sexual organs, namely penis and balls, which should be natural for women who are mentally, sexually healthy and normal. I once read a comment on the web about some woman finding penises to be disturbing. Well, I find hair to be disturbing, to be frank, and any woman that would ever say such a thing. I want a woman who enjoys a penis, wants to be penetrated and fucked by one, and also please one, and also give oral sex. I want them to love semen. And one thing I haven't mentioned in the document is something I observed in porn. I'm also attracted to a particular female behavior when when she is interested in getting the semen out of the male body, when she likes the idea of the semen coming out. So I also want them to love semen. They ideally would love to be inseminated both in the vagina and the mouth and sometimes swallow. Swallowing semen is not the same as eating people because semen is not a human being but just seed, and whether in masturbation or sex, more than 99.99% of it is expected to die. Semen is not a human being, is fated to die by default, and only extremely rarely becomes an embryo. Semen is also healthy for consumption and contains mood elevating chemicals. I want a woman who understands those things and enjoys semen being put both on and in her body. Just as a man enjoys inseminating, a woman would be expected to enjoy being inseminated. I want a woman who enjoys sexual activities, enjoys both giving and receiving pleasure. I'm looking for women who are generally cooperative, even somewhat submissive, but in a normal female way. The way females are normally somewhat submissively. Definitely not in the perverted BDSM kind of way. I am absolutely not willing to take part in any sort of BDSM activity on either end. I'm also disgusted by their outfits and equipment. If a woman wants BDSM or any sort of control games, she is welcome to look for it elsewhere. Sometimes I watch porn videos where a female performs a hand job and they have femdom in the title. Now, from what I understand, this word is often associated with BDSM, but I don't watch it for that. I like the idea of receiving hand jobs and I like watching a female give them. That's the only reason. I'm turned on by the idea of a penis being given the female touch and also orgasming from it eventually. I would not feel very good, however, if I receive handjob from a woman who would withhold the rest of her body from me. Same applies to foot jobs or boob jobs or whatever. Limiting me like that feels like controlling behavior and that I am not being appreciated enough. Now, regarding this sharing willingness to share the whole body thing, I want to emphasize that I would be perhaps willing to show more patience towards a woman who is a teenager and is a virgin towards a woman who is in her 20s, even if she's still a virgin. I mean, she's in her 20s, it's time to lose that fucking virginity. Sooner or later. But if she's like, I don't know, 16 years old and she's still a virgin, then I might show her, more patience. But then again, as I've said, I would like to experience a really young teenager's vagina so long as my penis is small, because that vagina would be really small and tight, which would be a suitable size for my currently small penis. From what I wrote and said, it may look like I'm looking for some kind of a nymphomaniac woman. That's not true, and that's really not what this really is about. I want a woman who is sexually open and wouldn't withhold anything on me in terms of sexuality. Also, I want her to enjoy both giving and receiving pleasure, as I have mentioned before. But I am not looking for a woman who wants to fuck every day several times a day, every day. Well, at least that I won't be expected by her to constantly fuck her just because we're dating. I could care less about what she does the rest of her time. It's just that I'm the one who does not want to devote so much time and attention to sexuality. Definitely not at the present, and possibly not at the future either. I want it to have some part, even a relatively small part, of my regular life. I know it may sound contradictory when I put so much effort in writing about this. Well, the reason for this is just that I finally want this part of my life handled, and I want it to be understood exactly what I want. That's what this is about. That's why the effort. It's not because I want to devote my life to this or anything of the sort. I just want it finally handled. I'm definitely not seeking a relationship that is based on people feeling lonely. I'm looking for fun times. I don't seek to fill a hole inside someone's heart, nor do I have anything of the sort. It's sometimes thought that a romantic partner is needed as a person that makes you feel that someone cares about you in the world in a significant way and wants you to be happy on a very personal level. Newsflash, that's called a parent, especially a mother, someone who really cares very personally. If your parents love you, even the whole family, wouldn't that normally be enough? I mean, how much of a lost child and an emotional drain can you be? Even then, friends would also love you, want you to be happy, and try to help you. Obviously, they would not care about you the same way as a parent, but that means something too. Regardless of that, there is so much to have in the world. Wouldn't you normally feel more enthusiastic and happy about life itself than feeling lonely like an idiot who can't see the endless potential of life? Mind you, again, it is not love that I'm against. No, love is a good thing. It's good when people love. It's the loneliness thing which is retarded. I mean, look at the world. Look. There is so much in the world, so much that you can see and achieve. So many people that you can meet. What's the point of being lonely, like some kind of a lost pet or something? Like, what are you, retarded or something? I mean, people who feel lonely are must have some problem with their intelligence or something. Let's continue. I'd really prefer a person who would generally be happy regardless of me or what we do together. Obviously, I wouldn't mind if somehow me being some part of their lives make them a lot happier. But I don't want to deal with a sad person who is in need of significant emotional comfort and caring. I want mentally balanced women who seek to have good times together. I highly prefer women who are always in either positive or neutral moods. I don't want to deal with a moody person. Definitely not with emotional outbursts or tantrums. The only person in the world I would tolerate such things from, and even then to a limited extent, is my mother. She's been taking care of me and sacrificing for me for the past 34 years out of very personal motherly love. Naturally, she'd be put in a very special status and be allowed things that other people are not. So if she's moody or has an emotional episode, I try to be tolerant about it and calm her down. Nevertheless, if she goes over the top, I start shouting relax at her to tell her that she has to relax. That which is allowed for her is not allowed for other women. Whatever woman I date is expected to be naturally relaxed and mentally balanced on her own. I also want them to be generally polite and respectful and behave as proper human beings. Something I definitely wouldn't tolerate is any type of violence, whether physical or verbal. Self control, self moderation, and constant ability to behave properly are expected. I've mentioned earlier that I don't want to court after a woman, just in order to have sexual activities with her. I actually don't want to be demanded to be emotional at all, if it's just to experience sexuality. Specifically, I want sex to be treated mainly as fucking and not making love. Affection is a possibility, whether in sex or outside of it. It's a possibility depending on the situation, on the woman, on how I feel, but I don't want it to be a demand that just fucking is okay too. Also, I don't want to be forced to do foreplay. I'm not against it or saying I wouldn't do it. I just don't want it to be required. I don't want it to be a demand. If for some reason she is not wet enough for sex, a lubricant can be used. Also, I like the simple idea that I give you penis, you give me vagina, and that's good enough. That besides not being required to show emotion or do foreplay, I wouldn't be required to do anything with the clitoris in addition to fucking the vagina with my penis. Again, I'm not saying I won't, I'm saying I don't want to be required to. And by the way, often in porn, I see women rubbing their own clitoris as they're getting fucked by a man. So that they can do it themselves also. I realize that there is a small percentage of women who are unable to have vaginal orgasms. But you see, that's a birth defect. That's not my fault, and I don't have to make up for it. Naturally, men have penises that go into vaginas, which is what women have, and both should be able to orgasm from fucking in that manner. Now I realize that penis size, both length and girth, may have something to do with this. And I take responsibility of mine. I seek to increase it to an optimal size as I find a proper solution. Until it grows or is made larger otherwise, I think that my current small penis size of 4-inch would possibly fit a girl who is either 14 years old or slightly older and therefore has a smaller vagina. Another thing that I don't want to be required to do is to sleep together. In today's culture, there is for some reason an association between sex and sleep. Saying sleeping together in various languages could mean having sex together. Also, in movies, people often have sex at night and then they go to sleep together. I don't want any forced association between sex and sleep. As a matter of fact, I don't see any connection whatsoever about those two different activities. Nor do I want to be expected to necessarily either date or have sex at night time. It's not about daytime or night time at all, but merely a time that fits well in terms of schedule. Both me and the woman. I may sleep with a woman, but I neither want to be required to do that, nor do I want a forced connection between sleep and sex, just because of that association in today's society. I don't want women to require me to do something that could be seen by others as submissive. Mainly doing anything involving putting my face beneath the waist area, or any sexual or intimate act that involves the woman's feet. Not saying that it won't ever happen, saying that I don't want to be required to. It has a lot to do with that I've been physically tortured or abused for women to make me submit like a slave. So if I ever do it, something that others could maybe interpret as a submissive sexual or affectionate act, if I ever do it, it would be my choice. But I don't want it to be required. If I do it, it may take time, both until I fully recover and for each different relationship. Otherwise, in general, I don't want to be submissive in a relationship. Note that now I am not saying something that could be seen as submissive, I am talking about actually submissive behavior, like being the fucking underdog in the relationship. I would not tolerate being like that in a relationship. I want women who are highly cooperative and at least slightly submissive in a normal female way. That the female would be the one who is slightly submissive, but as I said, in a normal female way, like females are normally slightly submissive. It's a normal female thing, not the mentally ill BDSM kind of thing. That's not what I'm talking about. I definitely wouldn't like a woman who wants to control, manipulate, or dominate. I want to feel at ease in a relationship. I also wouldn't want a woman who is excessively self focused or wants to be the center of attention. I mean, a healthy amount of self focus is fine, but not the level that highly disregards others. Like narcissistic people who are absolutely sure that they're so special and they pull other people into their scum that they're so special but they're not, and they disregard other people and they mistreat them. I don't want that kind of person in my life. I want women with balanced personalities, with balanced, yes, women with balanced personalities who do care about themselves but have empathy. If a woman likes to take care of others, please them, or make them happy, it's a very good trait. I also dislike behavior or speech that is rude, arrogant, or otherwise ill mannered. I like my women polite, well behaved, and well mannered. I am not interested in women who have children. I mean, I already give women so much freedom about what they can do with their love life or sex life that they can have as many lovers as they want and fuck as much as they please. All I ask is that they won't be at that final stage of sexual maturity, that is having children. I believe that after giving birth, women are permanently changed both physically and mentally. I want to experience women before they undergo those changes. I'm, at, I'm attracted to youth, both in body and mind. I want women to use their real identities and also show me their ID documents. If they withhold their identities, it feels as though I'm being disrespected, and I don't like it. You see, I think it's a really simple thing to just tell the other person like who the fuck you are. If you can do some something as simple as that, as like giving your real fucking identity, there must be some kind of problem with you. Like, what's the problem just sharing your real fucking identity? I don't have a problem doing that. So why would the woman have problem showing her fucking ID document to me? I show her mine. She shows me hers. I think it's fair and reasonable. You hide your identity, then go fuck yourself. I want to know who the fuck you are. I will tell you who I am in return, and you will tell me who you are. Tinder, the world's most popular dating app, tries to make matches based on mutual interests. I really wouldn't be looking for a woman to talk about mutual interests. I actually wouldn't be looking for a woman mainly to do a lot of talking with at all. I am mostly interested in physical interaction. That's why the woman has to be physically appealing, and I could care less about her interests. Well, obviously, her behavior has to be suitable too, but she could have whatever interests she may. If I wanted to talk about some interest of mine, I join a community, online or otherwise, of people who are also interested in that specific topic. Actually, I would like to have the option to have my private life, interests, activities, my own absolutely private home kept strictly to myself, and that I would not be required to share them with a woman. I mean, I could maybe share with her this or that if and when I feel like it, but it would be up to choice. I want the relationship to be based on time spent together and wouldn't have to involve our private lives or carry on to them in any way. I want the relationship to be based on physical contact. I am not strictly against dates that are about doing something else together, but I expect the woman to be willing to share her body with me and also be willing to please me sexually without me having to do anything to warm up to her. Well, I've already talked about the warm up thing. Like if it's a young teenager who is a virgin, then it's a different story. Then I may warm up to her. But if it's a woman in her 20s, then forget it. She doesn't want to fuck. Then she can go fuck herself. I'm not gonna warm up to a woman in her 20s. Give me a break. I have things that I require from a woman, but I want her to be happy as well. And I am willing to try and listen to what she may want as well. And if it sounds reasonable to me, then give her what she wants. It's especially true for regular relationships of two people dating each other. The other type would be the woman getting something, money for example, in return to pleasing me, for pleasing me. I am open to both types of relationships, but I like independence and hence the idea of having women who would please me in return for money and that money alone would suffice for them. When the woman is with me, I want her to be herself and not act. I'm generally turned off by acting. Now, this is not written in the document, but there are different types of acting. There is the top type of acting when a person like completely pretends and they try to act like they're some kind of a character and they make faces and stuff and that's repulsive. I hate that. And there's the type of acting when there is a strong attempt to show superficial charm and make you fall for that. That's kinda dislikable too, but if the person can back it up with genuinely likable behavior that is not superficial, then it could be fine. But if I'm supposed to be charmed by something that is completely superficial and manipulated by it, I mean, if that's the expectation, then no, thank you. And then there is the type of acting that is not like really acting, but more like an amplification of your own personality, like sort of charisma. Well, that's fine. That's not like being a fake person. I am turned off by fakedness and by faking and by pretending and stuff like that. But being who you are and just being charismatic or trying to amplify your own natural personality, that could be fine. I like it when a woman genuinely enjoys giving pleasure, whether she's a girlfriend or sexual caretaker. I actually like it when a woman also enjoys receiving pleasure, especially if she enjoys the penis. If I think that the woman enjoys the penis, then it's a good thing. But if she really enjoys it and wants to enjoy it, and not like she's, acting. I'd prefer it if women would not talk about their other intimate or sexual relationships in my presence. I just don't want to be involved in that stuff. I also wouldn't want to meet with any of them as long as it can be avoided. I think that separation it would be for the best. I like women who can be talked to in a calm manner and that would listen without trying to interrupt. I dislike women with a short temper who get angry quickly or otherwise lack patience. I can give you a really good example of a type of woman I couldn't stand. You probably know her. Do you know Goku's wife, Chi-Chi? There's no way I would that I would tolerate a wife like Chi-Chi. I would throw her. I would throw her out of the window. There is no way I would tolerate a woman like that. I have no idea how could Akira Toriyama make such a powerful character be mated with and be made to tolerate a wife with such horrible, short-tempered, angry personality. It's exactly the exact of woman I don't want in my life. I would like to have access to an unlimited amount of women from any country or even other worlds. I mean, I don't want to be told, here, this is your woman, or these are your two women, or three women, or even 10 women, and that's your lot in life. No, I want to have an infinite amount of women to whom I can have access at any time, and I could talk to and date and have and spend time together and fuck and whatever. I want access to unlimited amount of women from everywhere, any country, planet, world, dimension, whatever. You know what? Even possibly women from the future or women from the past. Even add time travel to that. I want to be access. I want to have unlimited access. Well, actually, I want unlimited access to everything, not just women, but we're talking about women, so I'm saying I want unlimited access to women. I would like that access to also be limitless, and that I could meet as many women as I want. If for some reason several women use the same name, like Emma Watson, for example, or possibly Bunny Colby too, then I want access to the one I pick, and I want her to use her real identity with me as I would use mine. I'd highly prefer, however, for women to always use their real exact identity and not use a shared identity. Under no circumstance will I ever accept interaction with a woman if I feel I'm being disrespected. Even if I'm offered any type of pleasure. Respect is far more important than receiving pleasure.